Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review, and next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series Thor Love and Thunder Korg Build-A-Figure. Here we have King Valkyrie. This is the fourth figure in the wave that I have reviewed. If you guys would have noticed, 3 of them went live today. The first 2 actually went live last week. The Jane Foster Mighty Thor review. Before it went live, I actually pulled it, and I pulled the other videos. I pulled all my Instagram posts, and I know there were a lot of questions as far as why. And it was pretty simple. The figures hadn't been announced yet. The trailer had not been released. I felt it was not right to take advantage of the fact that we didn't get the trailer or anything like that. So I made a choice. You know, I could be a dick and I can continue to let the videos go in and be selfish and let all these views come in, or I could just pull them down, wait for the figures to be officially revealed, wait for the trailer to come out, and so I did. Nobody forced me, nobody asked me to bring them down, just so everyone is clear, because everyone had just assumed Marvel and Hasbro were like, hey, Bryant, take those videos down. They actually did not. So I want to clear that up. I made the decision, pulled them down out of respect for everyone that was involved with the figures, involved with the movie, and all of that. And I stand by that. I know people bitched and complained and all this and that. Oh well, get over it. I think mostly just people just had some questions or whatever. But it is what it is. Now, the figures have officially been revealed, and I can show them. When people were finding them in Walmart, it was all bad. Walmart officially added the street date register block through the point of sale. But one thing that Walmart does not do is train their employees real well, so every time it would not scan. They just assumed it was a recall. They were not recalled. They were just street dated, so it prevented people from buying them. Now, Walmart employees not getting the proper training in that aspect a lot of times did other things to let them sell. They'll scan something else or whatever, or in a lot of cases they just pulled it off the floor saying we can't sell them, and then who knows what happens to them at that point. But that's what it was. It was a register block. It was not recalled in any way. They are street dated for April 26th. The official pre-order date goes live April 26th, but if you were able to get your hands on it ahead of time, lucky you. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get to the review. Thor Love and Thunder logo there. We didn't see Valkyrie in her battle outfit in the trailer, the teaser trailer, unfortunately. We saw her in a suit, I think it was, and she was not looking happy. But she will be referred to as King Valkyrie in the movie. We get a Mjolnir, broken Mjolnir logo there. Marvel's Korg Build-A-Figure up at the top corner. We have Tessa Thompson, Valkyrie, battle ready there on the artwork, looking really, really cool. Here on the back, we get that another look at it. All the figures in the wave to build Korg, so we've gone through these first 3. We're now on to the 4th one. And then the next set will be the Ravagers or the Guardians of the Galaxy to finish off the wave. But the bio for King Valkyrie reads, when a dangerous new visitor threatens the livelihood of New Asgard, King Valkyrie is forced to take up her sword once more to defend her people. I wonder if that means Gorr is going to Earth to attack New Asgard, and that's how Thor then goes to Earth to fight Gorr, and then we see Jane Foster Mighty Thor with Mjolnir. I have no idea. We'll see. But anyway, that's enough. 3.5 minutes in. Long enough. You guys patiently waited. Let's get to the figure. Okay, so here is the King Valkyrie figure out of the package. And this is actually a pretty good one. I know, depending on what pictures you have seen of the figure from while it's inside of the package, it can kind of throw it off a bit and it doesn't look as good. Having it in hand, out of the package, out of the plastic shell, it looks a whole lot better. I actually truly do see the Tessa Thompson likeness in here. But what I will say is the previous one from Avengers Endgame, I think, does have a much better likeness to her. But I still think this one is really good. And this one is a really good mix between the 2 different Valkyrie figures that we had gotten in the past. With this one really being my favorite, as it feels a little bit better. Although I have a big QC issue with mine, and I'll get to that a little bit later. We have an actual functioning sword, whereas this one, the sheath was really cool, but the sword was absolute trash. It was just such thin plastic. And so this figure really kind of steps that up. The cape being a lot softer than this one and like super pre-posed was a real pain in the ass. So this one, just a huge upgrade from the 2 previous ones that we got. So I'm really happy with that. Now, the accessories that she comes with is she has a sword here, and we'll take a closer look at that. But we get the weapon mace piece for for Korg. This is the same one that we had gotten previously. It does just have a different paint scheme to it. It is not any different, as you can see there. It's the same thing. And then we get a new head sculpt for Korg. It is not the same as this one. It took me forever. I'm like, wow, man, a lot of the rock placements and everything looks the same. But all I had to look was this one has an open mouth and this one does not. So that's how I know it is in fact a different head sculpt. So we'll put those off to the side along with the legs that we already have for Korg there. And we'll take a closer look at Valkyrie. Okay, so here is the sword for Valkyrie. Now I wanted to bring out the previous one from Endgame so you could see the difference. It's a very similar shaped blade, but a much better execution on it here. So you get the same kind of turquoise blade, but it goes into a gunmetal color. That looks really good. Both have the white hilt, both have kind of the ring there at the end, but this one was super thin and just not really good, and came with a really cool sheath. And, you know, that holds the sword, and that was all good, but the sword by itself wasn't very good, and this sword does not go into the sheath, by the way. But the blade is really nice. We get some sculpted detail on the blade, and that looks really good. The only unfortunate thing is she does not have anywhere to store the sword, so that is a little unfortunate. You could do, you know, something like that, but it's not really going to stay on its own. I guess it could, but it could just kind of slip through on its own too, so depending on how you want to do it. But here's a closer look at the King Valkyrie figure, and if you look here, you really do see the Tessa Thompson likeness, but again, I think the Avengers Endgame version did a much better job with it. Actually, you know what? Maybe this one did better. I don't know. You guys let me know down in the comments below. Endgame Valkyrie or Love and Thunder Valkyrie? I think Love and Thunder actually did it better. I think they got the skin tone better on this one, and you could see the details a little bit more. I don't know. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. I need to see more footage of the trailer because I think the hair, the different hairstyle is really throwing it off. And speaking of the hairstyle, I literally just now noticed it. I didn't notice the blue streaks in there before until just now. That's pretty cool. It's only to the one side. We don't have any here on her left side. It's just to the one side. But the braids all look really good. Looking throughout. The digital face print looks really good. I like it. I think it came out great. Now, one QC issue that I have on mine is if you look at her left shoulder, it sticks out more than her right. So one problem that I'm having is I cannot use the hinge. I can swivel it, no problem, but I cannot use the hinge, and then doing so puts a lot of stress on this bicep to where, oh yeah, it's all bad. I'm already like stressing and ripping that plastic inside the bicep. So all bad. Even if I try to heat this up, I'm sure that's not going to work out well, so this is something that I'm going to have to get replaced. So it sucks. You know, I get that there's QC issues with Hasbro figures. I don't have them all the time, but you know what? It does happen, and that right there sucks. So that's unfortunate. I'll have to get a new one. But looking at the armor, it looks really good. All black and white. We get some silver in there as well. I really like the details. We are pinless, so we have pinless knees there. Pinless double jointed elbows. Some silver into the boots. We get this knife sheath here on her right leg. That does not come out. There's not a functioning little dagger there, by the way. She's got them heels. She's pretty sturdy, though. I don't really have any issues with her wanting to topple over. A little bit. You kind of have to balance her because of the cape, and this cape is like the thin capes of the two Thor figures, so that is really good that we're getting these thinner things that are just not as heavy and do not weigh the figure down nearly as much. And I just now noticed this. Look at that. It actually pegs into the back of the figure. Look at that sculpted detail on her armor piece there too. That's really nice. Except it's kind of weird that that armor piece doesn't connect to anything over her shoulder. I think that's just a design flaw there. This probably should have continued onto her shoulder, so I don't know that it would just stay up like that, right? That's kind of weird. But the cape then ports right back on in there, and you would never notice, so I guess not that big of a deal there. But the details look really nice. I like it. You get this strap here with some silver paint for the little rivets there. kind of a shiny black plastic, so it's hard to see the sculpted detail in there, but there is some. Yeah, it looks really nice. Now let's see her articulation, but I can't show you how that shoulder moves, so we'll have to go to the right shoulder. Okay, so for articulation, so she has long hair. That's going to extremely limit the amount of neck movement that you're going to get out. So you're really not going to get her to look up. You can get her to look down somewhat. You can move side to side, and you have a lot of pivot going on in there. Now the shoulder, you can get to go out and up quite a bit. Again, mine, I cannot use the hinge on her left shoulder. I could only do swivel. That is a QC issue on mine. Hopefully it is not on yours. But looking at that shoulder ball, the way they do it, that's kind of like very weird looking when you kind of have it hinged out. Now straight in, it's not so much an issue, but once you start hinging it out, it kind of looks a little funky. You have an upper bicep swivel in there. You get a double jointed elbow like so, and it is a pinless elbow. That looks really good there. Wrists swivel, and they do hinge here on her right hand because this is the hand that she will use to hold her sword. She does have the vertical hinge. Her left hand, which is open hand, has the standard horizontal hinge. So she has the right hinge for the sword. That is really good. She has a diaphragm cut so she can pivot to her left a whole lot. Look at that. She can pivot to her right a crazy amount as well. Going back, she has the cape, so the cape kind of hinders it, but she gets a fair amount of motion going back. But here's the kicker going forward. Not a whole lot, just like all the other female figures, and actually most figures with the diaphragm cut, they just don't get that much motion going towards the front there. Swivel rotation at that diaphragm cut as well. She does not have a waist swivel or anything like that. Legs go out that far apart, which is pretty good. This skirt piece is a harder plastic, but really doesn't get in the way going out, since I guess it's just these straps anyway there. Coming forward, it doesn't hinder too much. You can still get that leg to go straight out, which is pretty good. Leg goes back a tiny bit. Got an upper thigh cut in there. Solid double jointed knee, like so. Now there is no boot swivel or anything like that, but you have foot that hinges all the way down. You got a hinge all the way up, and you have ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet and under the heel there. So decent articulation for her. It's about what we have with the previous ones, but I think this one looks a whole lot better. I'm just really bummed at the QC issue on mine because I would like to be able to move that arm around, but man, this arm's just gonna like break off if I try to hinge it anymore. I might try to warm it up and see if that'll kind of free it, but I'm scared even then that I keep trying that hinge and I'm just gonna rip this arm right off. So be careful with yours when you get it. It's been a week since I've touched this Mighty Thor figure and it does not want to stand. I thought I had no problem with it a week ago when I did the review. Okay, it's holding up. Here is the Mighty Thor and Valkyrie side by side. Two female warriors in this movie. We'll see if they fight side by side or Jane Foster ends up on the ground. I'm having a difficult ass time getting her to stand up, and I don't remember having this issue so much before. I guess if you get her legs further apart, she stands up a little bit better, a little bit more sturdy. But there is Mighty Thor and Valkyrie side by side. Let's see the other figures from the wave. We looked at Gore the God Butcher. We did not get a glance at him in the teaser trailer, unfortunately. Hopefully we will get a glimpse of him, an official look at him soon, aside from the action figure. And we have the Thor figure. And man, I am really liking this Thor figure. I get that, you know, the blue and gold is kind of crazy. It's not super crazy that the MCU would have made it up. He does have a blue and gold armor from the comics. The helmet is kind of a bit much and real flashy. But the figure is freaking awesome. So the movie figures are really rounding out, and I'm really liking them. Next, we'll move on to the Ravager Guardians of the Galaxy stage of the wave, but I am very happy with the way these have all come out, and this Valkyrie figure is now my favorite Valkyrie figure. I think it's much better than the two previous versions that we got, which we'll take a look at all side by side now. Okay, so here we have the three Valkyrie figures. The one from Ragnarok was good for its time, but it was just very oversized. You know, I don't know if they wanted to kind of match her up next to Chris Hemsworth, Thor, to see how, you know, make him a little bit closer in size. It just didn't really work, and it just became too large. The head sculpt really wasn't that good. I know those were still kind of the early times of the digital print. So, you know, they definitely missed the mark there. Huge improvement with this endgame version, which had a drastic character design change. Her hair was done a little bit differently. She has the braids. Her suit went a whole different color and everything. But I really like the way what they did in the figure and gave us for Avengers Endgame. I didn't think we were going to get one until we got that third Endgame wave when we got a Valkyrie figure, so that was pretty cool. But now we have here this new one, which looks to be a little shorter compared to the other two, which is kind of odd. You would think the Endgame version and this one would kind of be about the same, but she's just a tad shorter. But one thing that is different is she doesn't have like the super long legs of this Endgame one. So this new one, definitely the best one in my opinion. You guys let me know down in the comments below which Valkyrie figure is your favorite. Okay, that's my review of the King Valkyrie figure. Really liking it. I'm glad to be back into the mix of doing these reviews now that I can kind of post them again freely since they have been officially announced, all ready to go. Remember, April 26th is the street date. Pre-orders will officially begin on Tuesday the 26th. But the thing about it is, I don't know if sites are going to have it in stock ready to go. We saw something similar with the Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings. And the Legend of the 10 Rings wave, where some sites had it immediately available in stock when that moment hit. So maybe Target.com, maybe Walmart.com. Walmart, if they still have them in store, you'll be able to buy. Pulse may have them in stock. Big Bad Toy Store, Dorkside, Entertainment Earth. I don't know if they will have them in stock ready to go, or if they will actually have them for pre-order and then start shipping out in small quantities, or how that'll work. I think with Shang-Chi is some of the webs, they had a small amount available and immediately began shipping out. But for some of it, it took some time. So good luck out there on getting your figures. I don't think they'll be all that difficult to find. Maybe at first in store, but you could always pre-order online. But you guys let me know down in the comments below your plans on that. Let me know what you think of this Valkyrie figure. Let me know what you think of the Thor Love and Thunder Wave. 8 figures of MCU figures. I love it. Let me know all in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.